Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and today we are talking about how some analysts think that Workhorse stock is worth $0. I will fill you in on why President Trump is backing Lordstown Motors in Ohio, and why Workhorse stock could shoot up 300% within the next month. If you like these Workhorse news update stories, please hit the like button, it helps me out tremendously. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's jump into our first article. If you don't already know, President Donald Trump endorsed Lordstown Motors when Lordstown showed Trump the Lordstown Motor endurance truck. Someone from CNBC said this: "Now pool reporters have been brought out to the South Lawn where they send this report. The president was already on the South Lawn when we arrived. He is looking at a Lordstown Motors 2021 endurance truck." Lordstown Motors is planning to go public later through a special purpose acquisition company via a reverse merger with Diamond Peak Holdings this year, which caused their DPHC stock to rise around $15. But what does this have to do with Workhorse? Workhorse is an affiliate of Lordstown Motors, which caused Workhorse stock to increase as well. At the time of this recording, Workhorse stock is $26.91. But why is Workhorse stock rising so rapidly? When Lordstown Motors stock rose 15%, Workhorse outperformed it and rose 16% after President Trump viewed the new Lordstown endurance truck. This is partially because Workhorse Group owns 10% of Lordstown Motors, so if Lordstown Motors stock increases, so does Workhorse's stock. Diamond Peak Holdings stock will continue to rise until the merger with Lordstown Motors completes. This is great news for Workhorse stock owners because Diamond Peak Holdings stock will increase because of the excitement from the merger. Lordstown Motors stock will rise initially after the merger completes, and because Workhorse owns a portion of Lordstown Motors, Workhorse stock will rise as a result. Workhorse is feeding off of Lordstown Motors' success, which is great, and because Lordstown displayed its prototype electric vehicle truck at the White House in front of President Trump, this will just fuel the fire and pump the stock even higher. Remember that initially when Lordstown bought the factory in Ohio, Mike Pence, who's the vice president, was there and congratulated Lordstown Motors, but now Lordstown presented their truck at the White House, which is great news for Workhorse stockholders. President Trump is using Lordstown Motors to bring jobs back to Ohio for a better political foothold. Donald Trump is even quoted saying, "We have been working on this very long and very hard," meaning that Trump is backing Lordstown Motors and working with them, and by affiliation he is also backing Workhorse Group. The Lordstown endurance truck is revolutionary because it has 4 hub motors, which provides the driver full control over every wheel. Eventually, Lordstown Motors will be traded under the ticker symbol RIDE, RIDE, and the merger with DPHC is expected to raise $675 million in funding, with the initial valuation being $1.6 billion, which is really good news. Workhorse stock also benefits from this greatly because Lordstown has to pay Workhorse Group royalties for using Workhorse's technology in their Lordstown endurance trucks. Supposedly, Lordstown Motors wants to make 100,000 of their endurance trucks with multiple models by the end of next year, which will generate great money for Workhorse. The electric endurance truck by Lordstown Motors is expected to cost around $52,500 and higher. The electric truck has really good range for an electric vehicle because it can go all the way up to 250 miles per charge. Lordstown currently has over 40,000 reservations and not necessarily pre-orders for the electric endurance truck, which equates to around $2.1 billion in sales for Lordstown Motors. Lordstown Motors already had $1.4 billion in pre-orders at the time that the merger was originally announced. And as the merger draws closer, because it will be completed before the end of the year, the stock price will continue to inflate because of investor hype. Workhorse stock has risen well over 700% this year, and Diamond Peak Holdings, soon to be Lordstown Motors, is up 140% year to date. These are very promising signs for these startup electric vehicle companies. This leaves us with the potential of Workhorse stock rising 300% outside of the United States Postal Service contract. Although Workhorse had a recent pullback, do not count Workhorse Group out yet, because remember, they have ties with the Trump administration. Investors originally got scared and skittish after Nikola fell because of their fraud allegations, and they are now worried about their other EV stock holdings, including Workhorse. But this just makes Workhorse stock the ultimate bear trap. As the electric vehicle competition and fight for market share begins, Workhorse is sitting pretty for now, which is why Workhorse in the short term could be a very tactical buy until the USPS contract winners are announced. Lately, value investing has been dead, which is seen by the Vanguard Growth Index, which has returned 46% more than triple the gains of another value index by Vanguard. So what does this mean for us as electric vehicle stock investors? Well, Tesla, Workhorse, Lordstown Motors, and NIO stock are growth stocks, not necessarily value stocks, so we are safe. At least we are safe for now. With Tesla increasing 360% and NIO stock is set to be on track to be the next Tesla in China, could we be in an electric vehicle stock bubble right now? Well, let's look at an example from the past. There was a company that entered the EV stock race and it shot up 1,200% because investors blindly bought into the company thinking it was the next Tesla when they didn't actually research it, and the company was worth $0. Remember the 2000 tech bubble and the 2018 cryptocurrency boom? Most investors blindly bought into these bubbles without thinking and lost a lot of money, which could be happening right now with the electric vehicle market. If the electric vehicle bubble does not pop before Lordstown Motors goes public, the company could reach a $20 billion valuation, which is crazy good money for investors. That alone could take Workhorse stock up 80% higher. Plus, with Nikola stock now in full reverse because of fraud allegations, the only US publicly traded EV companies are Workhorse and Tesla. But the biggest problem with Workhorse stock, if they don't get the United States Postal Service contract, is their financial statements. The author of this article implies that Workhorse is drowning in debt in the millions with no real revenue being generated, which means Workhorse stock is essentially worth $0. Now, you could say that Lordstown Motors could get Workhorse out of debt because they pay Workhorse royalties for the electric trucks they sell, but the CEO of Lordstown, Steve Burns, has a history of overhyping pre-order claims. His 40,000 electric truck pre-order claims are not real pre-orders, but instead are non-binding letters of intent. Plus, in Q2, Workhorse only generated $91,942 in sales, but had $1.5 million in production costs, which is a negative margin of around 1,500%. The author goes on to say that if we are in a bubble, none of the financials matter because at Workhorse's current market cap, if they dilute their shares by 1.6%, Workhorse can pay off all of its debts. If this hype continues with Workhorse, they could easily become a $10 billion company without the United States Postal Service contract, and a $35 billion company with the USPS contract and a partnership with Amazon, which provides us as investors a 300 to 950% upside in the short term. An owner of Workhorse stock says this, and I quote, "I have watched this comedy act evolve, but the time has finally come for these guys." He is basically saying that Workhorse is a bubble and it's going to pop and all the investors in it are going to be in big trouble. Secondly, the author points out that for Workhorse to survive, if the bubble pops, they need to make electric cars, not just electric vans. Americans buy 490,000 vans per year, compared to people buying 12.2 million SUVs, pickup trucks, and heavy-duty trucks combined. Without this, Workhorse will go bankrupt. But I want to add that Workhorse's target market is last mile deliveries, which is an $18 billion yearly industry with little to no competition, where making EV cars is being flooded with competition. So I think Workhorse was actually smart to give their technology to Lordstown to build the truck and just get royalties from their sales. It's way less risky. And that concludes today's video. Comment down below if you agree with this author, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next YT video.